this industry, I know, is going through lots of changes.
Lots.
And everything, the sky is falling. What I know to be true is that it starts at the foundation, and it is writing. When we invest in writers, we will then reinvest in ourselves in this business. And that's what I'm doing. And I don't want Black writers and marginalized writers left out of the conversation.
Welcome to Third and Fairfax, the official podcast of the Writers Guild of America West. I'm your host, Brian Gary. In this episode, Hilliard Guess talks with forever creator-showrunner Mara Brock Akil about reimagining Judy Blume's teen novel through the lens of young Black love. Also, empowering new voices at her Writers Colony residency, the importance of completing writing projects, and much more. Listen and subscribe to Third and Fairfax on Spotify, Apple, or Libsyn, and watch us on the Writers Guild of America West's YouTube channel. And now, here's Hilliard in conversation with Mara.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Hilliard Guess, and you guys are live, listening, grooving, feeling the feels. Yes, feeling the feels, girl. Feeling the feels.
I'm going to make you feel the feels.
You're going to make us feel the feels.
Yes.
Writers Guild podcast, Third and Fairfax, in the house, in the building. Thank you guys for tuning in. Super excited for this episode, you guys. We have the icon, and I called you the icon.
I'll take that.
Respect
That's really beautiful.
for the
Thank
kids
you.
who don't know.
Teaching the children.
Yes, indeed. The icon in the building, everybody. Writer, producer, director, showrunner, creator. How many other hyphenates?
Mama. I'm somebody's mama, too.
Yeah, you somebody's mama. No, that's right. Mara Brock Akil, everybody in the building. Everybody in the audience. Get there. See, they know we had an audience.
I know. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Hilliard.
Yeah.
And I've heard about Third and Fairfax. Of course, I think I was here on the board at the time that it was initiated, and it's just lovely to be here.
Yeah. I always like to start off these interviews with something to get us kind of going.
Okay.
So, for example, when I did an episode with Ben Watkins, I had Ben tell us this beautiful story about how he overcame something that really tells you the insides of who he is, right? So, like, we don't have a lot of time to go into your whole background. I'm like, look her up. You know she's done everything. So I'm like, but with you, I was like, you know what I want to talk about with you?
Uh-oh.
You know what? You can see it on my page.
Why am I nervous already? Okay. What's happening? What do you want to know?
So because I think it's going to tell people who you are.
Okay.
Why did you start your program?
Oh.
Right? See, you didn't know. Look at that
Wow.
connection. Tears
Thank you
just started
for
coming down. Look
starting.
at it.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Why did you start your program? The residency
First
program?
of all, I do not call it a program.
Okay.
I'm actually, that word bothers me a lot, actually.
Let's talk about it. Why?
Yeah. Programs are like this auxiliary thing or this, no, it's not, it keeps reminding you that you're out.
Right.
It keeps reminding you that you don't belong.
Mm-hmm.
People don't need programs. People need jobs.
Right.
People need a way in, pathways. I think people they're willing to do the work and the sweat equity and the 10,000 hours and all the things that we're supposed to do to get in. I think, so it's not a program. It is a residency.
Okay.
A residency with hey, come in here and do the work.
Mm-hmm.
The work that will lead you on the path to where you're trying to go.
Was it your way of giving back, or what made you decide
So what is it? So I have a residency called the Writers Colony. And back in, I don't know, between BET and me going to Warner Brothers, I had a little time to get on the road. And I was on a lot of panels. I was traveling a little bit. People invite me to have a conversation. And so you're kind of outside, as the kids say. And the question that I kept getting, people kept asking me, it was an interesting question. It's a simple question, but how did you do it?
Right.
How are you doing this? And I knew what was implied in that question wasn't just how did I get to a place that I can tell my stories and with integrity, with a vision, with, a level of sophistication that around characters that look like us. Right. I knew they were asking me how I also was having a life, and how was I successful at it, and how did I do that? Right. And in fact, one person specifically broke it down because people kept saying, "How did you do it?" And I said, "What do you mean by that?" And they sort of talked about me as, oh, you're married, you with children, you know what I'm saying? You're successful and successful. I mean, you look like you making money.
She 15, y'all.
You know,
She 15.
no, and so and it feels it's complimentary, but it made me pause and ask myself the question, how did I do that?
Right.
How did I do it? So the Writers Colony is my answer to that question.
Okay.
And the Writers Colony is based on 3 principles. It is a place to write, it is a place to belong, and a place to find your voice. One of the things that I realized is most people who come to Hollywood, as we're looking to get work.
Right.
I get that. But what I was finding a lot is a lot of people were over networking and didn't really have great scripts.
Mm-hmm.
They were telling people their ideas, but that's not going to get you hired.
Right.
And so, or they're wanting someone, you could see it in their eyes. People want you to see them and quote unquote rescue them in a sense. And I felt like, and even me early on when I got here, you think, oh, you got to network, you got to know everybody. And how I did it was I actually created a writing practice. A writing practice that early on, learning how to negotiate this city, this industry, this place.
The business side.
And work. How could I stay here for my opportunity to meet me?
Right.
And was I ready for it when it was going to come? Also knowing that I don't lead my life this way, but I have an awareness that I'm Black. I have an awareness that I'm a woman. And I have an awareness that those can be challenges in the opportunities to get work. So, and also in the writing practice is where I actually found most joy. My most peace comes when I'm actually creating. So my mental health and awareness and stability and safety is when I'm actually working, crafting. And so the second place, a place to belong. We all belong here, but we have to find our people. We've got to find our community. You are not going to succeed getting anywhere in life, let alone this business, without community. And I think that's different from networking. Community is people who know you. They know they know a lot about you, or at least there's accountability. I mean, even if you're not like best friends, you know what it means when someone asks you to read your script. You understand that, let me put some focus and attention on that, because also I hope that someone will do that for me.
Absolutely.
But also sharing information, patting each other on the back, picking each other up. Those things matter, and how you can stay, again, for your opportunity, be prepared for that opportunity, and then out of real connection. I think people can pass your name along. That may be the people who are talking about you when you're not in the room.
Sounds like you're building this village.
Yes.
This community.
Yes.
And
then that's the pillar, is to find your voice.
Okay.
Because you're not in the program, I'm not looking for anything. I want the best of who you are. Like, I think a lot of times, they're looking, the business is looking for this, the business is looking for that. Yes, there's a buyer's market. I do understand that part of it. But I bet you, if you write an amazing body of work, it's not just one script, amazing body of work, 2 things are going to happen. Wow, this person, they can write, and I need them in my room. And, or wait a minute, this is the idea we really want and need, and you'll learn how to then work the business from knowing what your voice is, what actors perhaps to approach production deals that way, then you start to realize, I fit over here, and let me start that momentum here. You actually know how to start walking the path. So that's what the residency is. I feel like our business, and because of the way that we make, and that we have moved far and far away from Los Angeles, how we've moved far and far away from numbers of episodes where you actually learn. It's an apprentice model craftsmanship as well. Learning how to, it's not just the script. Can you translate that script in real time? And, how many hours a day we got on the set? Can we translate that with all the problems that come with production, all the things? That model is gone. We can barely get writers. I mean, even the Guild, we're fighting every day just to get writers on set for the work that they, can even produce their scripts. Well, losing that we are losing craftsmanship as well.
Right.
I'm still writing in the editing room and learning how to do that all the way through. Now, the residency, I don't know if it's going to fix all of that, but it at least is a place to remind us of that's what this whole process is. Getting it on the page enough to excite people to want to, actors, directors, all the people, the rest of the village that it takes to actually make and carry it all the way through. Anyway, this industry, I know, is going through lots of changes.
Lots.
And everything, the sky is falling. What I know to be true is that it starts at the foundation, and it is writing. When we invest in writers, we will then reinvest in ourselves in this business. And that's what I'm doing. And I don't want Black writers and marginalized writers left out of the conversation.
See, that's the opener I'm talking about. All the game. So here's the funny thing. So was it like a month or so ago? I got to come to you guys did the readings for some of the.
Yes.
Are they graduates or what do you call them?
Yes. So we have a cohort. We have a cohort of 4 every 12 weeks. So you come in with an idea, and by the 12 weeks, they should have a script that represents as best as they could in that 12 weeks what that idea was. Right. I think that's very finishing things, the confidence to finish. I would love to share this. Okay. I have a really, we're big on the residency to finish something. Right. I think when writers who come with these ideas, like I got this idea, and you do not finish that script, you are actually eroding your spirit.
Totally agree.
I actually think that may contribute to depression. It contributes to a lot of different things when you have a story inside of you that you know you did not finish. And you did not meet yourself. You did not sit, you did not have a writing practice. You did not pull yourself through it. You can take that metaphor in life as well, but in speaking specifically to writing, it's really important that you finish. And so we have table reads because table reads, part of the process is feedback, and for the writer
it's immediate,
yes. And then the community, the second pillar, we sit around it to then talk to that writer, talk with that writer about what we were feeling as a first audience, what they were hearing too. You can hear it in your head when you're reading the script, but it's different when actors
completely,
and so it's just a beautiful experience about just process and making and writing and crafting.
But it was such a nice experience. I got to see one of my mentees, Nasir Farabee, who's here in the audience watching us right now, taking some BTS for us. And then I got to hear his screenplay live, his new pilot, and I was really impressed.
Wasn't it good?
Yeah, but here's the funny thing. Yes, what I was telling Nasir after, we'll get into Forever in just a moment, so please bear with us.
No, this is lovely. You're talking about my baby, Writers Colony. Exactly. And by the way, I shout out, my birthday's in a couple days, and celebrate my birthday. I'm asking people to contribute to the Writers Colony.
Oh, good.
So just a little plug, little shout out for the future.
But the interesting thing to me was when it was over, you were talking about, I always tell writers, I don't care if you sit at your table in your living room and you just listen. You need to be doing it. And bring in 1 or 2 of your friends who have a little skills, who can give you some notes. There was nothing like, and I've sat in rooms with lots of big showrunners, watching you give Nasir notes, I was almost teary-eyed. Because I was so proud of him. Yeah. But it felt so beautiful hearing it from you.
Why?
Because we all look up to you. You don't even know that. Oh. That's why I said I kind of respect, girl.
Yeah. Well, I mean? It's funny. It is me. This is who I am. Right. I believe in this. I believe in it's, and again, it's a joy for someone to try to birth their voice, because that voice will touch. It will touch people. It will move people. It will change people. It actually, it can. Even if it makes someone laugh in the moment, that laugh could be the most important laugh for a viewer in that time. Yes. If it makes them cry, getting some emotion out of their body, you know what I'm saying, out of seeing their human existence reflected back at them, makes them feel seen. I'm not alone. I'm not invisible to the world. I am here. Someone understands me. And in that moment, the connection between art and human, it ignites. I think that's what we need. So when you say I'm giving Nasir notes or the other members of the cohort, it's just what I believe. In fact, the Writers Colony was a God whisper. I was wanted to do it, nervous to do it. I mean, I've been underwriting it myself. I can't afford to do that anymore.
Sure.
So I really hope what I've invested in these last few years has been enough of a fire to catch, and so because it's special, there's some beautiful stories coming out of it where when they come in, I'm like, I'm asking, it's not about a mandate or this is what we're looking for.
Sure.
We're looking for you.
Yeah.
And then what it does to the writer themselves, it changes them. You know what I'm saying? It
Completely.
changes them. And then as we all evolve, God willing, then the writing gets better. Then
Sure.
the writing gets better. It attracts great actors and great directors. And I love our collaborative art form. It is a village.
Right.
And there's all different types of storytellers, but it does start with that person who was brave enough to take an idea out of the sky, out of their heart, out of their mind.
And these kids
sit
have to
down
write
and do
pilots
it.
today, not specs like we did.
Yes,
Man,
yes,
it's crazy.
Yes, it's like, oh yeah, I think I can. Yeah,
You're right.
So yeah, but those table reads, the bravery, thus vulnerability to put yourself out there, read it, be heard, and then people give you in real time their thoughts, and sometimes
You're on the chopping block.
Yeah.
For sure. But you gave a master class. You just broke down. I was going, I ain't got nothing to say. Like, this ain't nothing but game, nothing but game, nothing but game. Here's a point I had that I can expound on, but you can't even touch what you said. It was like perfect.
But I think we're all superior to each other and can learn from each other,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And we should be depositing into each other, the best of us into others. I don't, I have some knowledge, and I would like to give it only to answer that question. How did I do it?
Right.
Someone gave it to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be sitting here if I sat with. Everybody know Ralph Farquhar is my mentor. Everybody know how much I love Sarah Finney Johnson. Everybody knows how much I love and watch Debbie Allen. Right. But Ralph Farquhar taught me how to make television. And that gift, my thank you to Ralph, is sitting there giving Nasir and everybody else some notes.
I love it. And now we watch Lena, who looks up to you that
yes.
way. Now she
Lena,
gets it back,
yes,
you know
yes.
what I mean? I love it.
But that's a part of, Lena and I talk about this, that's our family tree.
Yeah.
That's our family tree. That's who we are it's built into the community of us. Yeah. And thank God for it. Look how many lives Lena has touched. Crazy. She has I don't know what she calls hers. So I don't want to get in debate over programs or residency.
It's the Hillman grad thing, right?
Yeah, she's got but she has see, I'm trying not to use the word program, but I think she has. I think it's called a program. But I think she has
initiative or something.
Yeah, well, she's giving back. The more importantly, she's lifting as she climbs, and that's how we all. That's how we all move forward and enjoy this. It's not, you get to the mountaintop and you up there by yourself.
Thanks.
I mean, what's that? What's that about? What kind of fun is that?
Well, let's talk about this mountaintop of forever. Beautiful.
Come on, that's a segue right there. That's called a transition. Y'all take notes.
Big master ice. Y'all know I had it like that. I was on tour with Grandmaster Flash and them back in the day.
I love it. I know them, not personally.
That's my cousin and stuff. Yeah. And let's get to forever. So let's talk about this beautiful, beautiful work. My first thing I want to ask you is this. I'm sure you get this all the time. Is how did you adapt this from a book that was kind of, it wasn't like a bunch of shoot 'em up, bang, bang things happened in this book, and
it's very internal too. It's a lot about her thoughts and feelings.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was about to say it's very third person, like in your head, but at the same time, you not only did you you changed the names. You're like, this is inspired by y'all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just beautiful, beautiful work.
It was, first of all, shout out to Judy Blume.
Yeah. How did you get permission from her?
I asked.
I know she didn't let nobody touch nothing.
No. So what happened just back early 2020, actually, I found out that Judy I found out kind of I don't know if it was late or not, but I found out at that time that she was allowing her body of work to be translated to the screen.
Uh-huh.
And my hand shot up without thinking
Mhm.
because that was the 12-year-old Mara who devoured her books.
Right.
Started with Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Mhm.
I read Denny, I read Blubber, I remember those. And of course, I read Forever. I read Forever in middle school, not when I was ready to have sex or could have a boyfriend, but I knew my near future. I wanted a boyfriend,
for
and
sure.
I heard they like to have sex. I think I might want to too. I don't
She
know.
put her name in the box.
Yeah. But me and my friends, we were passing that book around because Judy.
My sisters were doing that.
Yeah, it's Forever is about first love and first time
Mhm.
having sex the first. And what I loved about that book, which was written 50 years ago, by the way,
Crazy.
that was not timed. That's why you know it's God.
Yeah.
It was not timed to be like the release of Forever on Netflix is going to be the 50th year anniversary of the book. That was not a planned thought in anybody's
Interesting.
mind that I remember in this process. It certainly wasn't for me.
Right.
Anyway, I read that book back then, and I'd love to say that we become writers as we become readers. I didn't know I was becoming a writer reading Judy Blume, but I can trace my personality, my characteristics as a writer to Judy. I borrowed from her to create my own voice. And anyway, that book, I remember that viscerally. And we read it over and over. Somebody was telling us the truth. And oh my goodness, my future could be that way. So when I found out that she was open to her body of work being translated, I asked, Forever was not on the list. And I was like, well, where's Forever? And I was told that Judy wasn't sure that book can translate in modern time, given Tumblr was old by this point. So kids know about sexuality. I'm like, yeah. I said, but it's your book. It's more than that. It's about love. It's about intimacy. It's about connection. It's about, and so anyway, this is me. I'm not talking to Judy yet in this moment. I'm just hearing that that's why Forever is not on the list. So I went and read the book again. And I was like, oh. And I was thinking about when she read it, and I understood that she wrote it also for her daughter. One, and I think her daughter even asked, could there be a situation whereby girls could have a real desire and not die as a result of wanting to have sex? Think about that back in 1975. And I think the way she even wrote the book, it sort of posits that Catherine, the main protagonist, the birth control pill had just come out too back in that time.
Really?
It's very important context to the book, because at that point, this young girl, the Catherines of that time, could explore their heart, and they can explore their physical self, their emotional self and their physical self, and still have a future.
Okay.
And so one would posit that if Catherine is the most vulnerable or innocent of the time going out into the world in her rite of passage, then I ask myself the question, who today is the most vulnerable? And I posit it is the Black boy. And likely could have been that way all along. Right. Because now that I'm a mother and raising Black boys, one of the fears is that, oh my God, no one is going to see my son the way I see my son. Right. No one's going to understand his sarcasm. You know what I'm saying? Would a cop understand that sarcasm? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Is he going to get home if he talks like that? If he whips out all these vocabulary words on them the way he does? Those things scare you to the core, and especially at the time that I wanted to imagine the book between Trayvon Martin's murder and George Floyd's murder. Black families were screaming into a vacuum about not only our lives, but really about the lives of our children. And it was this understanding that no amount of education or no amount of zip code could immune your child from the wrath of this.
And that's why we wrote the Dear Hollywood letter.
Yes, yeah. And sure. So all of these things are on my mind as a parent. So then I had a conversation. Now I had a take on the book, and I said I would love to put this in modern times, in the near past, in 2018, when we Black families were kind of left to ourselves to fight for our own lives, and it certainly felt that way. Yeah. And Also, the language was different. Even language around, we were saying ADHD. We were not saying neurodivergent in 2018. That's how fast life is moving. So I wanted to go back and capture something that we're going by that went by very quickly, but was very, very painfully felt, if that makes sense. So that's where even my own catastrophic parenting started to arise. You're telling your kids follow their dreams, and you're like, oh my God, but wait a minute, but don't wear that hoodie. It's so.
I won't even wear a hoodie.
Wow.
Well, no, I won't wear a hat, a baseball hat. If anything that makes me look too hooligan, I'm not putting it on.
Wow. And see, I didn't.
That's my insecurity.
And fair enough. I didn't want to take that from our children, and I didn't want that for all these other beautiful children in my life. So anyway, going back to the book, I was like, oh, I have a take. If I posit that he is the most vulnerable, like Catherine was 50 years ago, then what if Catherine were Justin? And Michael in the book, though he's very present in the book, you don't get enough of his family. She hints enough at it, but there's not a full picture. So I thought, I'll make Keisha Michael, and I will pull Keisha in a 50-50. It'll give me an opportunity then to talk about different family styles that are rich and fulfilling in Black life. They look very different, but they're resourced different. I thought that was a really great thing to do. The other thing, by just making the race change, the parents themselves are one of the biggest obstacles to Black children and their ability to see, to just see each other connect and love. And then LA itself is, if you don't have a car, if you don't know how to drive, that's going to be challenging to the love story. So we started talking about, this idea of me wanting to do an epic, intimate love story within the love letter to Los Angeles, centered around a Black boy and seeing his emotional vulnerabilities, his emotional story, an internal story, while also dealing with his very physical want and need, and also protecting his future. That story is for everybody on every continent. Everybody wants that for their children. We want them safe, happy, and a future. And so we started the conversation there, and Judy leaned in and said, you know what? I never thought about it. I said, and exactly, you're right about the sexuality. I actually want to come into the process, to the show with sex positivity. Like, Keisha's issue is not, she has a very healthy sense of self around sexuality, and so does Justin. They want it, they would like to do it, they like to experience it in a very healthy way. Their biggest boogeyman, I guess, of their era, of their generation, is the technology and the phone. And then, unlike the book, Catherine and Michael swam through a lot of these issues that were really attached to their friend group. I decided to take one of the biggest issues of today and put it in the center of the love story, as opposed to it being in the world building. Let's just put it right in the middle. So all of those ideas created beautiful obstacles and twists and turns.
This dangling cause is like throughout the whole thing is like, because that happened, it affects the whole
thing. You know what I mean? And also gives a real win for the couple, how they can, Justin helping. And that's the question in the piece at the end. I had that question early on in the development of the show. Is the question, is it forever, or is it the one that we remember forever? And how important, how profound it is, just experiencing even the temporary nature of love, and how important that is. That is just as important whether you last forever as much as to experience the rite of passage of pursuing and receiving reciprocal, respected love. And our children need that. I wanted to make my love letter back to my own child and then his generation is, I wanted to make room for maybe this narrow space I made out of my own fear. Does that? I think a lot of Black families, we love our children hard. We love them. You know, that phrase, love them to death. Sometimes we're loving them a little and there's no room for them to breathe and find out who they are. And I think
Smothering and all that stuff.
yeah. And that though we are loving them and protecting them, at what cost?
Attention Writers Guild members. Get paid faster with direct deposit for residuals. Log into your MyWGA account at WGA.org and click on Residuals and Payee Deposits to register. If you need assistance, reach out to online services at WGA.org. If you're enjoying this episode of Third and Fairfax, the official podcast of the Writers Guild of America West, hit that like button, click subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode.
And then
It's funny you said that. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Every time I watch the show and I look at Dawn and Justin's character, I go, that's her. Like, I feel like that's you and your real son in a lot of situations. Like, it's inspired by situations.
My writing style is I tell the truth through fiction.
Okay.
And I started off my writing career started off believing I was going to be a journalist, and I still approach my writing that way.
Yeah.
I am attuned to what is happening in the zeitgeist of the moment and from a human behavioral perspective, and I will use myself if I need to. I am, the Dawn character is a sort of, putting her up in effigy, just sort of like this offering her, forgiving myself in my own parenting, and offering up the nuanced version of me, but it's not just me. Because if you pay attention, there's a lot of Dawns. Like I always joke, I was like, my name is Mara Brock Akil, and I'm a former Dawn. I think there's a lot of Dawns. There's a lot of Shelleys. There's a lot of Erics. There's a lot of Quincy's. There's a lot of, but all of it is love. Right. And where are we on that? So when you ask me, is it me and my son? I certainly borrow from my life. It's a muse to focus on, to go deper. Right. And allows me to use my fun. I like to always shout out Northwestern, not only my shows, but on your podcast. What a really great decision I made for myself as a young person to go to Northwestern. And because of that, really digging deeper into the why and so the muse holds my focus, but I go in on, use all the research, all the sociology. I love my sociology classes. Just use it and just try to get in there and be and try to get to the heart of the truth of it. Is a fun journey I have in crafting these stories.
Because I get a sense you really study, as writers, as even some actors, like we study human behavior. Yeah, like it's a natural thing to do
all day, every day. I'm studying you right now.
But it's a funny thing. Like I always make this joke on my show every once in a while. I'm like, writers are the only people who could be staring off and they're working.
Always. Do you ever feel like you're off? No. And that's why I think you have to love it. I think a lot of people come and they say, oh, I want to write. I'm like, do you? Do you? Exactly. I accepted years ago that I will always have homework. And I used to be a little spicy about it. We're like, God, everybody else gets to go outside and play. Right. So that's when I decided to make what I do play for me, I understand because, and so it's funny, even the Writers Colony to agree is how I can build community around myself because, so you're not literally alone all the time. Is there somebody to walk across the hall with and have a conversation about writing, about human behavior, about instincts, about choices, about, and so that's fun for me. And I'm thank God. And also I believe in aesthetics. So my writing space is very beautiful. So I can stay in the chair. Right. So I can stay there and get it done.
My office is really cute too.
It is?
It's decorated really nice. And people are like, oh my God, like, wow. I remember Stacey Evans Morgan came by and we did a podcast with her a few weeks ago. And she was just like, looking at me like, I didn't know you had like this. I was like, yeah, girl.
Well, I mean, it's like the best investment.
Right.
Investment for me to walk into my space. And I built it so that I can walk in and plug in. Because I do believe in my writing practice that I believe when we create, you are co-creating with God. You are sitting, and there's a source that you can draw from to dig out. People say, "Oh, it's you and your son, or you and your girlfriends, or you and whomever." Yeah, they're the muse, they're the doorway to a greater truth.
Right.
And I met there when I make the commitment to sit in the seat and figure it out and get it done. Or to your point, I have a catch and craft sort of process where if I'm out and about in the world, I'm just catching ideas. I'm just catching sound. Right. I'm catching sight. I'm catching nuance. I'm catching behavior. I'm catching all the things, and I bring it back to the kitchen and I cook.
I always make this joke that like when you come in my office, my door's always open. I have a little partial view of like the hills, but I'm looking down on the cafe and stuff. And like the windows are open, even though the AC's on. Like I need the energy, because I come from, like, used to go to Insomnia. I used to go to Insomnia every once in a while.
And shout out to Insomnia.
You could be in there late at night.
Okay. I mean, remember it was open till 4 o'clock in the morning?
It was open late.
I was always there.
But it used to be the joint. It used to be a lot of places like that back in the day. Like I used to eventually move to West Hollywood as the gay guy. And I would go over to and I'd be at the Coffee Bean, and it would be some of the big wigs in there. And we had like the whole gay mafia. Everybody was in there. But they were like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm doing this
community.
thing."
All it is community.
Everybody.
And you feel like you're validated, even if you needed it, if you needed an external validation, you needed permission. You felt like, oh, okay, he's doing it or she's doing it. Let me get in the chair and doing it. It's not the club, but we're all in here together.
And people are curious. The more they see you,
yes,
and they're like, "Girl, what you doing?" You know what I mean?
You got your head down.
Well, tell me about it. Whatever. Let me read that. You know what I mean? That stuff starts happening. That becomes your tribe.
And they notice how committed you are.
Boom.
Without a check.
Every day you hear it. This time, blah,
without
blah,
a
blah,
check.
I mean?
People, you can't, I always tell people you can't, as a showrunner especially, one of the hardest things to do is manage people who don't have, what I look for is, do you have your own bar of excellence?
Oh, love it.
Then I can work with you.
Right.
Or if you have something I think I can mold out of you, then I'll do that. But that's half of the management style is just picking people who have their own meter of excellence and commitment to themselves.
Yeah. Let me get
because then they'll commit to the story.
Yes. Let me get to how did you cast this beautiful? I just love this cast.
I want to say Wood Harris from inception. I knew I wanted Wood Harris.
That chemistry.
That matter of, so when I sit down to write, I build.
You picture somebody?
I try to picture people, and some you can hone in on, and some are sort of conceptual ideas.
Sure.
You know, Justin and Keisha stayed conceptual. I didn't know who that was initially. I always want to work with Karen. Karen busy forever. But Karen, I knew would rock that, but I wasn't sure if she was available, just like I didn't know Wood. So I think Karen and Wood, I knew from the beginning I wanted them. I thought they'd be great parents. Okay. But if I'm going to speak very honestly, Wood Harris was the first vision I had as anyone that I knew I wanted. But the first call I make after any script is to Kim Coleman. Okay. And this is what I love about once the script is done.
One of the top casting directors out there. Who looks like us.
Okay. And I feel like that's the fun part. You know, you've been outside, you've been inside writing, and then when a script is worthy of that phone call, that's exciting to me. And bring in Kim Coleman. And then the second phone call was to, Regina King, hey, is it time for us to collaborate again? Regina, early in her directing career, did a couple of episodes of Being Mary Jane, and then from there she's took off in her directing. She's been Regina, but it was, I was like, oh, this might be something we can do together, especially our love of our sons, and just I would really, with all of her institutional knowledge, again, could she pour a lot of what she has in her into a young cast and just go have fun finding Justin and Keisha. The casting process is wonderful, and allowing what's great about our art form to work for itself.
They have the best chemistry I've seen in years.
Yeah.
And I love how you describe him. What do you say, like a nerdy
Yeah.
jock or something of that nature?
I think it was.
How do you say it?
I believe. It's funny. Can I tell you
No, please.
the bane of my existence is writing character descriptions
Really?
because I see them in my head
Oh, interesting.
and I just want to get to the
Yeah.
action and I'm stuck on a name. I'm stuck on a. But this one, I thought I did pretty good. It
That's
was
cute.
1 foot in. He's wobbly. 1 foot in confidence and 1 foot in insecurity, and that.
But what makes him so current to me, as the nerd dude,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I call myself a cool nerd. So don't get it
Oh no,
twisted.
I'm
I'm a cool nerd.
I'm a nerd. I said I went to Northwestern, so I'm a nerd. But I like to
Yes.
present as if I'm an
Yes.
extrovert, and I'm
Yes.
not.
Yeah. Oh.
I do it with fashion. I do it
Right.
with hair and makeup. I
Right.
do it other ways, but I am such a nerd. And I like
Right.
I like being a nerd though.
Yeah. But see, what I feel is current today. Now, I'm not saying there were guys and girls like this when you and I were in school. We're probably close in age. You just don't know it. I'm a vampire. And so
Because I look good. You probably don't know it because
at 32. She's about to be 33 now on Tuesday. Now, so where was I going with that? There was something.
You were saying, oh, the nerd. You were saying,
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sure there are plenty of people back in the day in the 70s and 80s as we were growing up who were also cool nerds.
Yes.
But it wasn't cool to be a nerd back then.
You had to survive.
Yes.
So you have to play the role that allows you to live.
So I
and
told
without
you
getting picked on.
So I told you about being that neighborhood I lived
Yeah.
in, and I'm this guy dressing like Fishbone.
Come on.
In this neighborhood, you know what I mean?
Fishbone.
Come on, man.
It's funny. I
Still
love
that
Fishbone.
guy.
Yes.
Still that guy. I still got 6 scooters in my garage. I'm still that guy. Anyway, but what I love about him is he would have been that dude. He would have been the cool nerd. He is a cool nerd to me. He's just a shy, quiet, introverted type of guy. But he can also get down and ball with the best, with Kristen and those
Yes.
dudes. You know what I mean?
I want to make room for Black boys, Black men, Black people always. But I think as a mother who wants to keep her son safe in the world, I thought the best way I could do that is to paint a portrait that not only looks closer to them and a lot of their friends who I also love and adore, make space for our Black boys to have a different expression of who they are, their masculinity, their humanity, their vulnerability. It is time. I think there's a collective cry for men to go on and be themselves, because I think it's not proving to be very healthy for them or for us. And so I think making space for him. I think more Black boys are this than they are. Remember that scene?
I would agree with that.
Remember that scene in The Wiz after they kill the Wicked Witch and all the workers in the sweatshop, and they have these. I mean, they look. She's dead now, and it's a brand new day. Can you feel a brand new day? And they unzip themselves and they shed.
Yes.
I feel like
beautiful,
Black boys have been trapped in this hyper masculinity mask that just needs to come off. There's, we need to take a deeper look at boys and catch them sooner, hug them harder, longer than I think we collectively have. And then especially for our Black boys who are just always trapped in the isms and the way to be cool and cooling themselves all the way out. Like there was a moment I noticed a group of Black boys, privileged young men, and then when they would time to take a picture, they would scowl. When 2 minutes, you had the best, beautiful smile, and I was like, baby, why are you like? Your life is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, no, their lives are amazing, and I'm like, why aren't you smiling? And you realize, wow, they feel the need to
be hard.
To be hard. Yeah. And it's time for a different reflection so that they can sort of maybe, make some space.
I actually hate to smile in photos.
Why?
Probably because of that reason.
You look
weak.
You look weak.
Yeah. I feel like I just look bright. I'm like, oh, I look so good in the picture. I'm like, always good.
Yeah.
Let's
Gay
do
and
it.
happy, hopefully. Just
Sad
like,
fingers.
yes. I mean, imagine that. A black man happy.
Can you believe it?
Woo, the revolution, right, is right there.
So before we wrap up, we were talking about how you cast. What was it about these two? What did you see, and what did you know?
Well, I think that's what I love about the process. I love being in the process. Individually, we auditioned them, and wow, she's hitting all the notes of Keisha, and he's hitting all the notes of Michael. But even in that, first of all, let me back up. I was casting back in the day when people came in the room for every audition.
Me too. I know.
Okay, there was never a computer in sight. So, and that was a transition for me to audition off the computer. I was like, oof, this is not how I want to do it. But this is where we are, Mara. Pay attention.
You want to give them an adjustment.
Pay attention.
You want to talk to them.
So when someone makes you feel emotional off of the casting tape, you're like, whoa. And let me just say, these young people out there, they are bringing it. And so that was fun. I said, oh, okay. But both Lovey and Michael had that reaction from me so that's why they got to, then we brought them in person. And we brought them in person to read them, and you know, they read individually, like, okay, it's just getting better and better. But as soon as, and you mix and match, you're like, okay, this actor with this, okay, we want to see this, we want to see this. As soon as Lovey and Michael had first of all, he elicited a different reaction in her, and she did him, and you're witnessing in real time chemistry.
I love it.
You feel it. It's not, you don't even think it, you feel it, you see it, and you have to trust it. And then but it was on tape immediately. I remember in the room, goosebumps. So that's it. That's the chemistry that is translated on that screen was in the process itself. They have a very funny story about how they're both from Atlanta, actually, and we had to fly them in. And apparently, we just all learned this on a FYC panel the other night, but apparently they were on the plane. They sat next to each other, but neither one of them talked to each other. And it wasn't until they also ended up at the same hotel that I think Michael said that, she might be going to this audition.
Hilarious.
And it wasn't until they literally arrived and then they saw each other in the office, and clearly, is that crazy? And that's why I always say to people, what's for you is there, and what is seeking you what you are seeking is seeking you. Thank you. I should get that out. What you are seeking is seeking you. So it goes back to the craftsmanship. Michael and Lovey working on their craft. We're over here I'm working on the script, trying to make it better. And that energy is bringing it all forward, because Michael actually was in the last batch of the computer auditions. I had a list of young men, always, Kim, let's keep going. Again, working with a collaborator like Kim, keep digging, let's just keep looking until we run out of time. And he was in the last batch, and I was like, "Ooh, who's this kid?" And then you look at his resume, you're like, "Shout out to Sanaa Lathan." Well, he had one thing, and it was this. It was a movie that Sanaa Lathan had directed, and that's another beauty. I don't know. I don't know everybody, and don't know a lot of people because I'm always inside. But I know Sanaa, and it's funny. Sanaa was a part, and this is about first. Sanaa was, I think, her first acting credit was on Moesha when I was a staff, right? When I think I was maybe a story editor or co-producer or something. But and so then Sanaa, tell me about this. You got one thing on this resume.
Crazy.
I'm trying to make him a lead. It's just like, can he do it? What do you think?
Talk to the studio.
I'm gonna have to sell this.
Exactly right.
But we didn't. We just gave them the tape and said, look, it's right here. This is the magic. And then build a team around this young couple. These young actors who are going to play this young couple that is going to lead us in a new conversation about love.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we're going to do some rapid fire questions for you right quick, okay? This is something the Guild does. They just started doing it recently, so I'm going to do my attempt with it. What is one pitching tip you can share?
Vomit first. I'm just like, oh God. I actually love the decks now. Okay. I was resisting all that work at one point, but I actually like I actually like the deck. I might want to come back to this question, but I think
Mhm.
pitching from the decks actually helped me when I have a visual image,
Mhm.
and then I know how to then just tell the story. Actually, here's my pitching tip.
It keeps you on point too.
It keeps me on point.
Yeah.
Having the decks keeps you on point. But I think tell the story.
Right.
Tell why it's meaningful and why you are the authority to tell the story.
Okay. Let me ask you this though, just piggybacking off of that. Is it because we're now on Zoom, or are you back in person when you pitch?
Well, it's interesting. You're right. I haven't pitched in person. Well, is it because you're back on Zoom? No, I think. Let me think about. I want to think about this question for a second. You said, is it because we're on Zoom? It's
that you enjoy now having the visual.
No, it's a way. To be honest with you, I would much rather talk about what I want to do, and then someone allow. Okay. When I did Being Mary Jane, I just had a conversation with Laretha Jones. This is what's on my heart. This is what I've been thinking about. This is what I like to do. And she's like, go. And I wrote it. I did not, there was no, and it was one of my favorite things. I took 2 weeks to write that pilot of all these ideas that were just inside of me, and just allowed myself to do it. So I do not prefer to pitch. But I had to learn how to succinctly tell people what it is that I want to do. And the decks kept me focused and helped me to articulate it in their language that allowed me to stay present in my ability to tell the story succinctly.
What is the one quality a writer should have in order to get hired for your room that you're looking for?
I look with people who are reaching their own bar of excellence. I love when people pitch. It may not be, and they're in the ballpark. I mean, they're not like pitching a whole other show, but I mean, they're challenging me, and I may not take all of their ideas, but they are pitching to a vision within my vision. And I like people with opinions and that have a way in and to shape it, so that I can be in conversation. It'll do one or two things. It'll make me be clear about my vision, and I'll double down and be like, that's not what I want, and it'll put me more over the fence about the way we're going, or they're going to open something up in me to change my course of direction. I would love to share this quick story. I know this is rapid fire. Kenny Smith, I want to shout him out.
Shout out to Kenny.
In the game writer's room, and it changed the course of the game. The first season of the game it was again an extension of Girlfriends in the spirit of, but it was the chosen family in Girlfriends, but this one was like a sorority. So we entered first season leaning toward the women behind the men of football. I knew I wanted Derwin to propose to Melanie. I came in with that. We're going to do that. And Kenny Smith was like, and I was like, oh, and I'm thinking, oh, isn't that a very progressive idea that, yes, I want to marry you, Derwin, but not right now because I want to take care of my schooling. And Kenny Smith offered in the room, well, then I don't want, basically like if she puts my proposal on hold, I don't know that I want to be with her. And it was a 2-day conversation in the writer's room. It was half men, half women. We had this beautiful debate over what the expectation of that proposal was in ways that I had never heard the emotional side or what it meant to a man to propose at that point. And it changed me. It changed the direction of the show in that moment, because he had if we're going to do that, then I think strongly this character would do that. And holding on to that opinion, I didn't just run over it. We talked about it, and look how it opened up the show.
Completely.
The show at that point became 50-50 male. We found something special out of that opinion. So I look for people who are invested in the story and the characters and willing to sort of really pitch strong vision within my vision.
I'm going to ask you one last question. What's the one script you wish you'd written?
Well,
you're like, can I have 5?
Exactly. Well, all the ones, I'm really good at this love thing and relationships. I've been at it for a while, and there's just so many more stories to tell. I would love to do my own version of Bridges over Madison County. I want to move into more film work also. I think it's time. I look at the different ways.
You done Sparkle and a couple stuff, and you've been out there. That's easy.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, writing and directing.
Yeah, oh, got
Sorry,
it.
I am really excited about the full breadth
You
of the
directed
expression.
your butt off.
I
Number
thank
5,
you.
girl. Number 4.
Thank you. Episode 105 really reminded me of how much I want to tell the full story. And it's funny, Gina Prince Bythewood, good friend of mine, dear friend of mine,
Shout out to Gina.
basically like a sister. I always ask her, like, oh, because I was always just writing or show running, not just, I mean, that's a lot of work, but when she took on directing, I was like, oh, do you really need all of that? And it's a different level of expression that I think is just so fulfilling. And so, yeah, I think more sweeping, dramatic love stories and film.
We need it.
Writing and directing, I would like to do that.
Nice. Shout out to y'all for season 2 already. Get the reorder, okay?
All righty.
A week
5
go
days,
by.
boo. 5
That wasn't
days.
even a week.
I mean, shifting culture over here. That's all I'm just doing real quick.
That's what's up. Everybody, please go on Netflix. Check out this. I'm sorry, Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix.
Netflix.
I'm tripping. I'm thinking HBO all of a sudden. Forgive me. Please go on Netflix. Check out the show, you guys. Forever, everywhere. Check it out. You're gonna love the show. It's so beautiful. Mara Brock Akil, everybody apologize. Mara Brock Akil in the building. She looking so beautiful. She getting me all confused.
You got him flummoxed.
We want to say a happy birthday to you. We got you some flowers over there.
Oh,
Thank you
so
very much.
Sweet.
Nasir and myself, and everybody in the room. Thank you guys. We love you.
Thank you.
Wishing you a happy birthday. You'll be 32 now, 32?
I'm going to be 33.
With your young self. Thank you guys again. Can people follow you anywhere? Where are you
Yes,
at?
I'm on Instagram. I really am good on Instagram. I'm thinking about getting a TikTok, but right now I'm on Instagram.
Okay.
Mara Brock Akil.
All right.
Yeah.
That's what's up. And I'm your host, Hilliard Guess. You guys can find me everywhere at Hilliard Guess. Please follow the show, Writers Guild West.
And I'm on Threads.
Oh, you on Threads?
Yeah, I did that.
Same thing?
Yeah, Mara Brock Akil. Threads.
Mara Brock
yeah,
Akil
yeah.
on Threads. All right, thank you. All right, thank you guys. Enjoy the show. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Third and Fairfax. You can listen and subscribe to Third and Fairfax on Spotify, Apple, and Libsyn, and watch us on the Writers Guild of America West's YouTube channel. If you like this episode or have a comment, email us at podcast@wga.org. Also check out writtenby.com, the Guild's online publication, for more on writer craft, career, and union life. And see you next time.